Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for participating in today's meeting, and I hereby call the April 28th, 2022 meeting to SPLOST Citizens Oversight Group meeting to order. And I understand we have a quorum. So if Mr. Mangum is on the line, I would ask if he would go ahead and give his traditional inspiration.
And Mr. Chairman, whoever was RM, they have currently dropped off.
Okay.
So they're not online.
All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the group roll call. So we'll start with Ms. Waldorf, and we'll go in the order. I'll call the names. We'll go in the order by the districts. So Gail, if you would introduce yourself and indicate what area you're representing and who you were appointed by.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Gail Waldorf, and I was asked to serve by the CEO, who has 2 appointments to this committee, and so I am representing the CEO. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gail. Mr. McDowell, if you'll introduce yourself.
Charles McDowell. I was appointed by in District 1.
All right, thank you. Ms. Love.
I'm Nancy Love, and I was appointed for District 2.
Dr. Bussey.
Thank you. Alice White-Bussey, appointed for District 3 by Commissioner Larry Johnson.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Bussey. And I'm Isaac Blythe. I represent District 4, appointed by Commissioner Steve Bradshaw. Did Ms. Mangum join us yet?
No, sir. No one else has joined at this time.
Okay. The representative, we don't have a representative currently for District 6. And Mr. Randall Mangum from District 7, I understand he was on and he dropped off. So I appreciate everybody introducing themselves. Now we'll have go to the next session, which is additions to and adoption of the agenda for today's meeting. So are there any
I'll move that we.
the agenda that each one of you should have received?
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor of approval of the agenda as it was submitted to you, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, the agenda has been adopted. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 28, 2021 meeting minutes. And let me just say something along the lines of
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
I
Yes,
second.
Okay.
so it's been moved and properly second that the minutes of the June 28, 2021 meeting minutes be accepted. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Mr. McDowell? So did everybody weigh in on this vote?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I just make, once the vote is concluded, could I make a comment?
Well, yes. And I vote in favor of approval of the minutes also. So that would give us a majority, which means that the minutes are approved. And Ms. Waldorf, what are your comments?
I would just like to make the observation that the minutes are verbatim taken by a court reporter. And so when we get the minutes, it is everything we said at the meeting. And that reflects the entirety of what happened during the meeting. I just wanted to point that out for folks.
Thanks for your reminding us of that. And I understand going forward, this is going to be the format that we will receive the minutes in until further changes are made. So basically what you will be getting in the form of minutes will be a verbatim of what actually was said at the meeting. So which is generally undeniable. All right, we'll move on to the next item. And the next item on the agenda is the SPLOST update. And we'll turn the floor over to Mr. Kingsbury from Atlas.
Good evening, everyone. We didn't have a SPLOST Cal meeting this morning because the board was traveling. A lot of folks are coming down to Savannah where I am for the annual ACCG meeting. But there's a couple of quick things we'll go over for the folks online. I'm not going to share the screen, but I'm going to pull a document up that I can read if I can find it and then multitask. The good news is through February, the revenue, including interest to date, is 253,660,592. Just rounded off to $254 million. And that's against projected receipts of $248 million in round numbers. So we've got a month, approximately a 1 month surplus of $5.5 million. Then I balance that against the board is throughout we're going to our 5th year of collections, or our 4th year of collections, excuse me. 2024, March 2024 will be the last penny we collect at the end of the month. But the board to date has authorized $184 million in round numbers of expenditures. And we've got about another 50 million pending. So that is right on track to keep us in line with a several month surplus. There are 3 things where be upfront with you, very honest, we're concerned about. And that's one reason we didn't meet this week. We're taking a deep dive into where we think projected resurfacing costs are going to end up. We've seen a 20 to 30% spike in the primary constituents of asphalt. It went from $4 a ton for asphaltic cement to over $5 a ton. 5.25 was the last number I saw. So that's a concern. We have 3 active contracts. Snell is moving forward with signing their paperwork. HEH is at work, and Pittman is at work. So we will have 200 miles completed with the funds on hand. So what we want to do is project where we might end up with that last 100 miles in the next 2 years. Then the fire stations, we have Fire Station 7 under construction. And we expect with steel prices having sharp increases, we're negotiating. We were lucky, most of the steel was bought early, but there may be some additional charges against that contract for some of the steel items that weren't included. And of course, fixtures and finishes, those items haven't been ordered yet. And we're seeing similar cost increases for concrete and aggregates and the things we use every day in building projects, especially Portland cement. And then the final factor, which is driving up labor costs, are just tremendous labor shortage throughout the industry. Everything from truck drivers to equipment operators to general laborers and the carpenters. The contractors are having just a devilish time keeping their job staffed. So that's causing delays, and the more delays we have, the more prices go up. And one other price increase, which has been extremely severe, affects the SPLOST program and Watershed. You'll hear more about this from Watershed on the consent decree. Ductile iron pipe has seen a 40 to 50% increase. And more importantly, the backlog of orders is somewhere between 6 months and a year, depending on the size of the pipe. So we're putting all that into some of the spreadsheets we use, crunch some numbers, and we think we'll probably reconvene the Board of Commissioners, SPLOST, toward the end of May and have a firmer picture of where we're headed with the current economic situation. So that's what I had tonight for you, ladies and gentlemen.
And Mr. Chairman, just as a FYI, Miss Gina Mangum has joined.
Yes, we'll circle back with her after Mr. Kingsbury address any questions that might be asked of him.
This is Charles McDowell. I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. McDowell.
Chris, I sent to you a list of questions about a few weeks ago, and you sort of gave me some answers, but I wanted to ask some of these questions because I think they probably are in your pocket.
Sure.
If we have a few minutes, and most of these are specific to District 1, if it's okay. There was a sidewalk built last year near Mercer University on Mercer University Drive. It had the SPLOST signs on it, and it was on the south side of Mercer University Drive and extended from the corner of Flowers for about 200 yards westward.
Right, it went to the driveway to I think it's a condominium or a townhome project.
No, it's on the wrong side of the road for the condominiums.
Correct. You'd have to have you have to cross the street to get to it. That was the only.
Right. It appears to stop abruptly. So your reasoning for that is it was just meant to serve that condominium?
In the interim, yeah, there's lots of long range projects, but that was one that folks had asked for. And it was an easy project to back up for everyone. The county has several on-call contracts to do, we call the infill sidewalks, which are primarily what the SPLOST program is tasked with building. And the first ones we try to do are the ones that are on shoulders that are easy to grade out and put the sidewalk in. As you get on down the road, we got into some situations, that road and hundreds of others, where we've got substantial storm drain issues or retaining walls required. Those will have to come later in the program as we evaluate their cost and the number of pedestrians that might use it and the design cost. So just for big picture numbers, and I encourage everyone to use Teams. There was $18 million in 2 line items for sidewalks and SPLOST, and we have about $9 million of that committed to infills that are planned when the contracts are awarded this year. They're going through purchasing now. We think we did 12 last year, and there were 3 major sidewalk projects that were in the queue when SPLOST was passed, Glenwood Road, McAfee Road, and I apologize, I can't think of the third one. It was Snapfinger Road, that were heavy on design and right away. So those are all active, and that $9 million reflects the estimated construction cost.
Okay, so you said you intended to complete that sidewalk, and do you have any idea about when that is?
That the completion of the whole road is not in the current SPLOST. And I'll be glad to share. It's on the team's website. There's a report that might be hard to find. That was one of the things we're going to present to the Board of Commissioners. There was a February 2021 analysis of round numbers, the 100 most needed sidewalks that we thought we could address, or that everyone prioritized as needing to be evaluated. And unfortunately, the value of those 100 infill projects is probably, back then it was 35 to 40 million. We could be in the 40 to $50 million range. So obviously we're probably going to reevaluate some of those since the year's gone by.
So there's no real plan. There's an idea that maybe it'll be done at some point in the future, but it's not in the picture now.
Correct, given the budget and the.
Okay. The second question is in Teams, the mapping section shows that Evans Road is intended to be paved at some point. There's no date associated with it. I've been told it's sometime this year.
Yeah, I believe it's in the pending contract to be awarded to ER Snell. It's a phase A. I can circle back on that.
The map picture in Teams shows that the paving stops at the corner of Gladney, but in the monthly report, the last one that I looked at, said that there's a planned paving project and it's shown as 1.51 miles. That's the full distance of of Evans Road, excuse me, from Chamblee Tucker to Henderson Mill. So my question is, which of those two is correct? One's wrong and one's right.
Yeah. Let me get back to that. I'll send that to everybody. My memory is I think the whole road gets resurfaced. I don't think there's a city limit in there.
If there's no plans to, if the plan is not to finish the whole road, I'd like to have a deeper discussion about that, because the end that's shown as not being paved in Teams has potholes that are 1.5 feet deep. So
Yeah, let me get back to you. We're about a few weeks behind our bi-weekly or by twice a month we meet with Watershed. It's possible they had a project proposed for part of that road that would cause them to have to do trench work in the road. So we held off paving the whole road with the current contract. But I'll circle back with you.
the reason there's deep potholes in that section is because of a previous trenching project there that they did, and they did a
Yeah,
pretty good job.
they may have plans to come back and what we're finding is
If you would,
a
Adam,
lot of those projects are
about that.
quick fixes and they're going to come back and do more work later. So I'll get back with you.
I'd
Good
appreciate it.
question.
I just brought my picture up so you can see my smiling face as you hear my questions.
God, actually, I pulled out the old document that we was sharing a few weeks ago that you sent over.
Yeah. So you're looking at what I sent to you. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
No,
Um,
no,
Is it proper to ask you regarding the question about how the pothole repair is planned and executed, or is that for somebody in the roads department?
Well, it's, I can answer. The maintenance items, potholes, patching, are roads and drainage responsibility with their annual budgets. SPLOST law is we have to have a capital lifespan, which is generally considered 10 years for resurfacing.
So the potholes are on the regular.
I think you just, your microphone just muted there, Mr. McDowell.
So this is for the roads, not for the SPLOST. So that's
Right, potholes and patching, emergency repairs come out of roads
so
and drainage annual budget.
Lemke's the guy for that.
Yeah, Rick Lemke or Peggy Allen.
Okay, good. Mr. Chairman, if we could invite Mr. Lemke to the next meeting, I sure would appreciate it. The next one is the quality control on the paving projects. Are the subcontractors, are they just come back to the county and say, we're done, it's good?
No,
or is there some
You'll
sort?
see a lot of paving that might get done, and we're not paying for it if it's not to the standards. We follow the GDOT specifications. So
So somebody from the county goes out and looks at it, and
somebody from Atlas looks at every project,
so Atlas handles that.
right? And then the county looks over our shoulders on a random basis to keep us honest.
Who
But
from
I
the
can tell
county-
you it's not
who-
uncommon for a contractor to place asphalt that wasn't the correct temperature. They know that's a problem. They'll have to come back and mill it out later. So you might see a road that's been resurfaced, looks like it has problems because it does have problems, and it's incumbent upon the contractor to fix it before he gets paid.
So who from the county looks over Atlas's shoulder on a now and again basis?
It's Peggy Allen, Shop Roads and Drainage.
Okay.
Her staff.
All right, great. And then, so the question that I had about the start dates, when do these get put into the reports and into the database? 'Cause
So,
right now, it's
yeah.
just empty.
Well, it shouldn't be empty. As the contracts are awarded, each contract has a list of road segments, the contractors bid on. So they should all show up when the contract's awarded as read to be done. Now, the contracts are a 1-year contract. The contractor has the responsibility to schedule that with us about a week in advance so we can notify the property owners with flyers that we're going to be on their street and get the signs up and so forth, get the inspector scheduled. Of course, weather permitting, things can get rescheduled. So the good news is when the contract's awarded, you'll know that that street will be resurfaced under the current contract. The bad news or the not so good news is you just don't know when over the course of that 1-year contract the work will happen.
I think that's what I said to begin with. So what we see is what we get. There's no further detail than what we see in the reports that's available to us.
Right, and then the reports will show, the map will show whether it's in progress in orange and green when it's completed. And the team's reports show, the completed roads also. They're interactive. The database is shared with the GIS staff that changed the colors.
Okay.
And I think if everyone doesn't have it, we'll be glad to share it again. It's buried in teams. It's what we call the original 300-mile list that the board approved in 2017 as the basis for the value of the resurfacing category of $151 million.
I'm just trying to get a feel for when these things are, what I, and maybe I'm reading the reports wrong, but what I see is a big section of stuff that says we're going to start at this point in time, or we've got this spread for when these are going to get done, but there's no individual, and it's going to be this street, that corner, and those.
Right, each road is scheduled by the contractor, working with their schedules and the weather and other things.
Turn those numbers or those dates back to the county.
Right, we coordinate the inspections, and then as they progress, as they go into as the work starts, the color changes to orange, they're in progress, and when they're completed, it flips over to green for finished.
Okay, and lastly, has the SPLOST project been audited by an independent auditor? If not, is such an audit intended?
I'm going to Diane McNabb.
Or somebody else?
Yeah, Diane McNabb, the county's chief financial officer. The county has an annual audit. I'm assuming that the SPLOST component is part of that audit. They'll get Diane McNabb.
You're unaware of any audit that has occurred?
Yeah, I mean, everything we do is on the county's server, so I'm assuming if someone's auditing it, they'll get the same information I have at my fingertips. So,
okay, I would make the assertion that if you haven't been contacted by an auditor, there probably hasn't been an independent audit done.
Yeah, I'll defer to Ms. McNabb for that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bothers, that's I've got a whole bunch more questions, but I think most of those are not appropriate for Mr. Kingsbury. So he's going to keep looking for getting some of these other ones answered for me as time passes, and I very much appreciate your help.
Yeah, and we'll we'll reach out to Ms. Baker Borkins to see if she could align Mr. Limpke up for our June 30th meeting, so that some of those questions that you have.
Or the department head. I'm not sure who the right person would be, but I'm sure Mr. Limpke has his finger on the pulse of what they're doing down there.
We could also ask him, if Miss Allen, Peggy Allen is available also, she could give some input also. So if
At your discretion, sir.
right, if we could line those two individuals up for our next meeting, we'll certainly put them on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dr.
Bussey, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I wanted to ask about the repavement of a street that SPLOST did in the Monterey subdivision. I attended a community council meeting, and they were very upset about the quality of the street that had been paved the latter part of the year, and wanted me to bring that to the attention of this oversight group. So the follow-up can be done for repaving, because the scene of the street was left exposed as well as the beginning. But it was a very poorly done job. That's for the Ari Drive in the Monterey subdivision. Just want to make sure you have that, and that I reported that as part of this committee meeting.
If someone could drop us an email, especially with the starting at the cross streets and so forth. I'm not familiar with anyone complaining about it to us directly or through roads and drainage. So I'll circle back and see what I can find out.
I appreciate that. I think they will try to talk with Mr. Lemke about it, but I wanted to make sure I brought that issue to this meeting. The other issue I wanted to get an update on is the status of the park and recreation for the County Line Ellenwood community in general, since we've been working on that from the beginning of the SPLOST, and we still have yet to come up with the real effort as far as what will happen. And I know you just moved into that, but to get us some more details would be helpful as to your timeline for the overall picture, not just for the
Right.
small.
Paige and Chuck have the master plan revisions. They'll bring that to your event this weekend. The long range plans, I don't know of a timeline because there's no current SPLOST dollars allocated to County Line other than for the replacement shelter and the parking lot resurfacing.
Well, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Yeah.
So we can follow up after this weekend's meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Paige is going to be there. We gave her the file. Yeah.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Um,
Ms. Mangan.
First of all, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to follow up on the audit issue, and if SPLOST is a part of the county's annual audit, perhaps we could have someone come and present to us. First of all, answer the question and just confirm that that's the case, and maybe give us a report on what the past year's audit is and what the process is. I don't have any video. Is that the case for everybody, or can you see me?
I can't see you.
You can see part of your
Okay.
head
I
and
can
the
see part
lamp
of it.
behind you.
I don't have video on anybody. I'm not sure why, but in any event, I'd like to have somebody from the audit department or the auditor come and talk to us about how that's done for SPLOST. The second thing is, at the last meeting, I had asked for the address of the fire station for Pleasant Hill Road, but didn't get any follow-up on that. And thirdly, at one time, I thought Pleasant Hill was going to be repaved, but I did not see it on the list. And I wanted to know if that was going to be done in concert with the fire station, or if it's just not going to be done at all.
I'll check on the list. I just don't remember all 300 miles top of my head, but I can certainly check for you on Pleasant Hill. The fire station is in the legal department. This closing is being scheduled. So I don't know why, Zach. I'm sure there's no reason we can't share the address. It's the boards have made the voted in the affirmative to move forward to schedule a closing. So the owner accepted our offer. So I can get you the street address. We'll get that to the whole board. That's probably something to get updated in Teams as soon as it closes.
Okay. And then lastly, at the end of SPLOST, if will all of the projects on the list be completed, or just the ones that, well, I assume it's just the ones that have been contracted. So for
No, so
instance,
that's a
if you're-
great question. So, because this is the first SPLOST DeKalb's had, it's new to y'all. SPLOST law is the money's collected for the period the voters approve. So, from 1 April 2018 through 31 March 2024, it's a 6-year SPLOST. Every penny goes into a separate and dedicated SPLOST account. Then the law says you stop collecting at the end of the period, and you are obligated to complete as many projects as the funding you've accumulated will allow in the categories that are part of the SPLOST. So, and DeKalb is pretty unique, and we have, I can't remember exactly how many, it's almost 30 categories when you start to think about it, right? We've got 4 broad categories, and then there's, transportation alone, and I think it's 13, and so forth and so on. So we go through the projects that had the highest priority and finish out the categories. I don't think we're going to have the luxury of finishing all of the anticipated projects and have money left over. And if there's money left over, then the board can reallocate it within those categories. But
my question is, if you're in the middle of a project, what happens to it?
the projects are let knowing the cash flow. So we wouldn't let a project with a
Okay, let me be more specific. Let's say that you have allocated money for the fire
that would
station.
exceed the expected cash flow. So that's a good question.
Well, a lot of times what happens is the county allocates money based on the cash flow for the year, but then there
no,
will be a
SPLOST
change order.
SPLOST projects are not an annual budget item. The
Okay,
SPLOST program works in its entirety as one budget over many years, which is why other counties, for instance, Clayton, where we work, we're concurrently, I forget the exact numbers, but we're finishing up 1 or 2 projects that were long complicated from SPLOST 5. SPLOST 6 is finishing up, and they're moving ahead with SPLOST 7. And I believe they have a SPLOST 8 that was passed solely for a judicial center or courthouse renovations. So it's not uncommon as counties have multiple SPLOST, as you renew it, you have each program has its own budget. They don't get mingled. So,
and that's what I'm getting to. If there's no renewal and the project is based on dollars that are anticipated or dollars that have been collected.
dollars that are collected at the end of the program determines what ultimately gets built. So the fire
what if
station is a good
there,
example. Not to get too deep in the weeds.
go ahead.
We're currently projecting, we thought we could get with the 40-something million dollars in the line item for new fire stations, 6 stations. We've got 1 under construction, that leaves 5 to go. Land isn't getting any cheaper, costs are going up. So let's just hypothetically say we only get to build 3 more fire stations for a total of 4. Then and the money left in the fire station line item is less than the cost of a new station. Then the board and the fire department administration would look to reallocate those remaining dollars to other building needs in the department that were capital.
Okay. And where does District 5 fall in the priority scheme?
So districts, because the county the county fire department is countywide with the exception of Decatur. The fire department projects are based on the fire department's response needs and their insurance ratings. So, and the oldest stations are being replaced first that are too small to handle the new equipment. So they're not, the map shows you what districts they're in, but they're scattered around the county based on need, not specific to any one commission district.
Well, oh, okay, but the one in District 5 is brand new. So does that mean that it's low on priority because it's not being expanded, renovated, or accommodating the changes? fire equipment changes.
I'm not sure what your question is, Ms. Magno. Is there a specific number station you're concerned about?
It's the one on Pleasant Hill, the one I've been talking about.
Right, the Pleasant Hill station
There
was
is no fire
correct.
station.
Yeah, so that was the second highest priority station in the fire
Okay.
department's planning, because that area of the county pays a higher insurance premium, and the county has to pay
Exactly.
cooperative agreement fees to Rockdale and Gwinnett County to provide fire service.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why Fire Station 27 is the second one that'll go to construction. 7 went to construction first because the building had been condemned at one time and was in really had serious problems. And we had the luxury of having a location a few hundred yards away the county owned to put the new Station 7 on. Fire Station 27, not to bore everybody, was kind of interesting. That's a excellent illustration of what the pandemic did to land acquisition, because it didn't have access to court systems for evictions and condemnations at a time, everything was shut down. But we finally got through all that. And we're trying to get a closing scheduled.
Okay, Mr. Blythers, if you could just note my request to have the auditor or somebody from that department come in, I'd appreciate it.
Well, let's approach it this way. Let's see, first of all, if there has been an audit. And if there's been an audit, then we will request to have get somebody from the audit department to participate in our meeting and give us a report of the results of the audit.
I think Ms. Baker and I'll get with,
Yeah.
we'll get with Diane McNabb.
Well, then let me put it another way. If it's not part of the annual audit, then I would ask Mr. Kingsbury to get back to us on whether there is any audit, and if so, how it's done. But I believe he stated it's part of the county's annual audit.
Well, I'll state this so there's no confusion. I will get with Sharon and Zach and Diane McNabb and see what the county's policy is on our intended SPLOST program.
All right, if you do that, then we'll go from there. Any other questions of Mr. Kingsbury?
I wanted him to clarify the selection of these 5 stations that he was talking about, and others from a safety standpoint, the most neglected areas as well as the most neglected facilities. That was the priority.
Yeah, we could have Chief Fulham come back. That was one of the very early SPLOST committee presentations where we outlined the rapid response vehicles, the radios, and I think the original list of fire stations had new roofs. We've completed that part, so we could get Chief Fulham and Chief Smith to come back and update y'all on their long range planning.
Thank you.
And what we will try to do is all of these department heads and individuals that was mentioned, if we could get them lined up for the June 30th meeting, we will dispense of some of the other items that might be on the agenda and just have sort of a forum of those individuals addressing the particular areas where questions have come up. So we'll work on that for the June meeting to see how many of these individuals we can get lined up to participate in our June 30th meeting. Are there any other questions of Mr. Kingsbury? I understand that Teresa has joined us and also Ms. Mangum. So we'll circle back, and in case we have anybody from the public, we will ask the two of you. I'm not sure if Mr. Mangum has joined. If we'll ask the two of you to introduce yourselves, indicating the area you represent and the person that appointed you. So we'll start with Miss Hardy, and I understand that we need to sing happy birthday to Miss Hardy. She had indicated to me a while ago that April 28th was her birthday. So we'll all wish Miss Hardy a happy birthday. So if you'll introduce yourself, Miss Hardy, we appreciate it. And then Miss Mangum.
All right. Good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm just a servant at heart. So on my birthday, yes, I'm here. Doing what I signed up to do. My name is Teresa Hardy, and I was appointed by the CEO to be on this SPLOST committee. And I live in District 3 and 7. So for any issues or any concerns as it relates to SPLOST activities, you can actually reach out to me and I'll help you the best I can. Thank you.
Miss Mangum.
You're on mute, Ms. Mangum.
Is that better?
Yes.
If you'll introduce yourself and district you represent and who you were appointed by.
I am Gina Mangum. I represent District 5, appointed by Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. Been a long time advocate and involved in a lot of zoning issues. And since this is the far east part of the county, development is a big issue out here. And so we're trying to coordinate new development with the SPLOST projects, making sure that the SPLOST supports the development out here and that the new development is, and to see how it's impacted by the new development. So we don't want to have a bunch of roads out here with all old roads with new housing. And of course, as you might guess, the fire station has been a huge issue. It affects everybody's insurance rates, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Chairman, I'm sorry, Mr. Mangum has also joined.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Mr. Mangum, if you'll do likewise and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to hear Mr. Charles McDowell introduce himself. He had some very good questions, and I'm honored that he is on this committee, and I look forward to getting to know him. And I'm looking forward to Mr. Chairman. Well, you asked me to introduce myself. I'm Randall Mangum. The Honorable Lorraine Cochran Johnson, District 7 appointed me.
So while you're at it, you wanna do your inspiration while you have the floor.
How good, how good and pleasant it is for brethren and sisters and brothers to dwell together in unity. May we have and find unity of purpose, if not unity of position or methodology, but may we have mutual goals to serve our community and for the uplift betterment of DeKalb County, and that every household will be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. So continuing on the agenda, if Ms. Baker Borkins, do you have any comments from the CEO office?
I do not have any comments. However, I am keeping a list of people that you would like to be invited to the June meeting, and we will definitely follow up on those invites after this meeting is over.
Okay, and I'll reach out to the rest of the members. If you could think of anybody else that, like I said, we would like to, if we can get a number of these folks to participate, we'll have sort of a forum where the gist of the meeting will be Mr. Kingsbury's report and also to hear from these department heads or representatives. So if you could think of anybody else that you would like to see at the to have appear at our meeting on June 30th, if you will either call me or email the name of those individuals, and then I'll get Miss Baker Barkins and see if we can get on their schedule and get them lined up to do that. So
I would
if you-
like to offer up our inviting the head of the Parks Department as well as the CEO.
okay, put them on the list, Miss Barkins.
Mr. Chairman, is it the intention to have an in-person meeting on June the 30th?
That'd be up to the county. That's the county's call.
Whether I'm out of the country or not, I will endeavor to call in on Zoom because that is the time that I'm scheduled to be out of town.
So I'll ask Miss Baker Barkins if there's any word as to when in-person meetings will resume at the county that you might be aware of.
I am not aware of any date at this time. We will just keep everyone informed as to when in the future that occurs.
Okay. If it happens between now and June 30th, we will certainly make sure that we will have an in-person meeting on June 30th. Okay. Are there any commissions?
Mr. Chairman,
Sure. Go ahead.
I missed that comment. Are we having I was confused. We're having an in-person meeting for the next meeting?
No,
Oh.
no, unless we get a notification between now and the June 30th date, if the county decide to start having in-person meetings, then we'll certainly participate in that. We'll have an in-person meeting. But if not, we'll continue on Zoom.
Okay, so I would like to make a recommendation that we, because our meetings and our schedules, that as of now, because it hasn't been done, that we keep the meetings as virtual. And then we come back together our meetings and we decide when we want to go back to virtual. Just a recommendation because our schedules, that's all I wanted to do is make that recommendation that we don't make a decision when the county does it, that we come back as a committee and we do it at that time. So
Well,
as of now, the county doesn't have a date to come back. So let's kind of keep our meetings as they are.
Well, when we get notification that the county is moving toward that, then we will reach out to everybody and make you aware of it. Then y'all can decide if you would like to have an in-person meeting or you would continue virtual. So we will have some discussion around that once we get notification of what the county's plans are.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Are there any commissioners participating in the meeting that we can recognize them?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to item number 7, which is old business. And the first item under that section is the election for, or should I say, the long-awaited election for the SPLOST Oversight Group co-chair position. So, in that it's been a while since we've visited this area. The last indication, the co-chair candidates, as I recall, was Ms. Hardy and Mr. Randall Mangum, co-chairs, and also Ms. Nancy Love and Isaac Blyton. So are those still the candidates, or are there any changes along those lines that we need to be made aware of?
I think we need to be made aware that I recall only the 2 being recommended, and that we had previously used the guidance of not having the current leadership continue in a leadership role, that once they finish, they will be finished.
Explain what you're saying. I don't quite get where you're coming from.
When we set up this oversight committee and came up with some guidelines and rules And we previously had co-chairs that were moved out of the position, as well as told they could not continue to serve after that term. And that was the guidance that we used to continue to get new blood in the leadership.
Well, following along that philosophy, then that means Ms. Hardy is not eligible, Ms. Love and myself.
No, it wasn't so much Ms. Harder because she didn't finish her term. She removed, it was short-sighted.
Any other thoughts on, so, because we need to move past this. Are there any other comments?
I would like to make a motion.
Unreadiness. Was there, this was on the agenda. I didn't see the agenda, unfortunately, so I welcome the opportunity to go over all this. But again, I really, well, I will stand silent. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Mangum has her hand raised.
Ms. Mangum.
Okay. I guess my question is, are we nominating? First of all, I looked at the bylaws and the copy I got was edited that crossed out the chair and the co-chair. So I don't know what that means. But even if we stick with a chair and a co-chair, my question is, do they have to be nominated as a duo? Or can we not just have nominations and the top two people are the co-chairs? Does everybody understand my question?
Well, I don't, because the last time that we've had discussions around this, we agreed that we, in fact, I think it was at the time when the county attorney was there, and she brought it to our attention that according to the legislation, that there wouldn't be a chair and a co-chair, there would be two co-chairs.
No,
And-
I'm talking about procedure. In other words, we don't have to elect two people as if they're married, for lack of a better term. Is that there could be people nominated and the top two could be the chair and the co-chair.
But she didn't hear you.
And was I not heard, or am I on mute?
I heard you.
I heard you.
I was saying she didn't hear what Isaac said, our chairman.
Who didn't hear what I said?
Gina, she's still calling it chair and co-chair and vice chair.
Well, I'm sorry, not chair, co-chairs. In other words, we don't have to nominate people as a group.
A slate.
So what, Ms. Love?
A slate. She's talking about that it doesn't have to be a slate. It can be just individuals. That's what I hear, Gina. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I thought
And
the
then-
nominations had already been made.
Yeah. They had.
I thought all we were doing was voting.
Okay.
Well, I mean, how long ago was that?
It doesn't matter. That's where we are at this point. And so we need to move from what we are rather than going back, reinventing the wheel.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that,
Well, we don't need any suggestions. We already have everything.
well,
in
excuse
place
me then.
To have the election. We have the slate, and all we need to do is stop going round and round on this and just vote on it and move on.
Well, I would like my question addressed about the bylaws. Did everybody get a copy that I sent out?
Yes.
Okay, can somebody tell me why that section is crossed out? It says there'd be a chair and a co-chair.
The legislation says that it's to be 2 co-chairs.
Okay,
So it was corrected at some point, and I don't know why it was crossed out, but so that page you have could be corrected, I guess.
I guess it was
That's
never corrected.
So in other words, Nancy, the resolution that created our,
As co-chairs, yes.
correct.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that we nominate whoever people want and the top 2.
Gina, we already have the slate in place, and where we are now is we just need to vote on the slate and move on. It's only 8 of us, and this shouldn't be that complicated, you know. We just vote on what's in front of us and move on.
Well, if there was a chair and a co-chair, I would agree with that. But since we're talking about 2 equal positions, there's no reason why the top 2 shouldn't be the co-chairs.
The top 2 what?
Nominees.
You don't have 2 nominees, you have 4 nominees.
Okay, so I could vote for you and Randall.
No, you vote for the slate that's in front of us unless somebody make a motion that we forego this slate and have nominations for another slate. Other than that, we're charged with voting with what's in front of us, and that is the slate that was voted on before, or that was proposed. It hadn't been voted on. Why are we making this so difficult?
I just made a suggestion or asked a question.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we continue with that. We start voting.
Ms. Hardy has her hand up.
Mr. Chairman, Teresa Hardy has her hand raised.
Yeah, we recognize Ms. Hardy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I was going to go ahead and make the motion that we go ahead on the said nominees, but stating that the reason why we already have a slate is that we did vote on it and there was a tie. And so we've just literally just voting because now we have the full body. So I make the motion that we go ahead with the slate that we already have to vote on.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor of voting on the slate that's before us, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and
You want to ask for the nays?
are there anybody opposed to this? Okay.
Nay. I vote nay.
So we have 7 yeas and 1 nay, I assume. Okay. What we will do is we will vote on the slate. And as I stated earlier, the slate, as I recall, was Ms. Hardy and Mr. Randall Mangum, and Ms. Love and Isaac Blythe. So all those in favor of, we'll just say slate number 1 and slate number 2. Slate number 1 being Ms. Hardy and Mr. Mangum, and slate number 2 being Ms. Love and Mr. Blythe. All in favor of slate number 1. I'm going to go down the list and just let me know what your pleasure is. Ms. Hardy.
Yes,
Now, we're voting on slate number one. Ms.
okay,
Hardy.
yes, Slate. Is
All
that
right.
how you want me to just say yes? or something?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes or no, or abstain. So I guess you said yes, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Ms. Wardrow,
No,
Mr. McDowell,
No.
Ms. Love,
No,
Dr. Bussey,
Yes.
and I vote no. Ms. Mangum
Yes,
and Mr. Mangum.
Mr. Mangan, you are unmuted, but we did not hear you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a tie vote. We have four yeas and four nays. And no abstentions. Okay, slate number 2, Ms. Hardy,
No,
Ms. Waldorf,
yes,
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Ms. Love,
yes,
Dr. Bussey,
No.
and Mr. Bly. I vote yes. And Ms. Mangum
no,
and Mr. Mangum.
No, thank you.
Yes or no?
he said
No,
no.
thank you.
Don't understand.
He said no.
Okay, you saying no, okay. All right, we have a tie vote, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
So can I say one thing?
Yes,
This is exactly why I raised the issue that perhaps we could get past this deadlock if we consider an election where we put up nominees and the top 2 are co-chairs. It's just a suggestion.
okay, well, your
Or we
suggestion.
can keep doing this.
Your suggestion is well noted. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the SPLOST Oversight Group retreat. We wanted to revisit that and have discussion, and I think that was one of the things that Mr. Mangum suggested. So we'll ask him to begin the discussion on the idea of a retreat, what he would propose that we would attempt to accomplish as a result of the retreat. So with that in mind, Mr. Mangum, if you will begin the discussion around the retreat. And once all the discussion is heard, we'll have a vote on whether or not the pledge of the group is to have a retreat. So if you begin that discussion, we appreciate it.
May I start out by saying, Mr. McDowell, I hope to get to know you. I'm so sorry we don't know each other, and I'm so sorry that you've had to vote a nay because maybe we can get to know each other, and maybe with respect to what Ms. Gina was suggesting, that we split the vote, it may be a wise thing to amend the bylaws to say that we have such a divided, and I will call it a divided situation where I think that at all times, one of those chairs needs to be from one side of the county.
Amen.
One county will not feel like, it's a, I think that the fact that there's an elephant on the floor, and I believe in getting people together to resolve issues. And one of the big issues is we are somewhat of a split county in a sense. And we may need to explore being candid, and maybe we can't get candid. Maybe we won't ever be candid about making sure that whenever we have leadership, that both the north and the south part of the county is represented. And if we need to do something different, let's do that. But maybe we need to rotate the leadership. We need to do something where people will feel like Ms. Love won't feel like she's not going to be represented, or Ms. Waldruff won't feel like she won't be represented. And Mr. Charles McDowell, before I even get to know him, he makes a judgment about what it means to go one way or the other. Hence, when we get together, whether as a retreat, we have been hampered by COVID. Some people are getting together, and I would just like to know whether or not, Mr. McDowell, is it a good idea for us to get together in person? I'm going to ask you that question, if I may, and then I'd like for each of us to answer that question before I have a second question.
I think that we get together in a group as the committee meetings. That's plenty of time to spend with one another, in my opinion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Waldo.
I realize that some of our members are new, so they may not be aware of the work that we did with our advisor who came and reviewed our meetings and made suggestions to us in a report. It was quite thorough, and she interviewed each of the members of the board individually. It was, in a way, a type of retreat. We met all back together again and reviewed her observations with us and considered some of her suggestions for how we run meetings, perhaps in a more efficient way and a more helpful to get the items we need to be discussed. And so I think some of the original members were able to participate in that process, and I'm not sure that we understand, Mr. Magnum, what you might be considering or how you feel it would be helpful.
So with
I
that
have a comment.
question, go ahead, please.
Let Mr. Megan respond to that question.
I requested a question and Mr. McDowell answered it. And I think Ms. Waldorf just answered it. And I'll ask the same question to Ms. Love.
Well, before you do that, let's hear what hear Dr. Buss's comment.
Are you allowing me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. As I was listening to all of this, my concern has been that there was never really an orientation when this committee was put together. And there was a lack of cohesiveness in the mission and the purpose from the beginning of the referendum that was put in place 5 years ago. And that still is my opinion, that there's a lack of understanding of the purpose of SPLOST. This is the first that DeKalb County has, and it was uniquely positioned for targeted results that I don't think we fully understand the essence of why there was a mandate put before us as a result of SPLOST that we have failed to understand and move forward on. And I keep bringing that up because we have to talk about it and we have to get understanding, and that never happened.
Okay, so you while you have the floor, Dr. Bussey, you want to go ahead and respond to Mr. Mangum's question? And Ms. Mangum, if you can repeat that question, I think it would be helpful to everybody.
Well, I'd just like to get other people's feelings about it, quite frankly. The help, whether or not it's helpful to meet in person and whether or not we need to discuss the direction of this august body.
So, Dr. Bussey, would you, while you have the floor, will you go ahead and respond to that? And we'll move on to.
Okay, you asking if we should meet in person, or you asking should we have a retreat, have a discussion? I wasn't sure what you were asking.
I'm asking both.
Oh, I'm of the opinion we should meet and have a retreat or have a discussion in person. I think it would be great to be in person to meet. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Hardy.
For the retreat, I'm open to retreat. Just let me know what the ideas are for the retreat. For in-person meetings, I'm kind of comfortable. Sorry at all. I'm just a virtual girl, okay? But if it's a majority rule, I will oblige.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Mangum has her hand raised.
Ms. Mangum.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay. I think we should just cut to the chase. I'll put a motion on the floor that we have a retreat, that we schedule a retreat. And along with that, I would like to form a committee to come up with the agenda and empower Mr. Mangum to be chair of that committee and to appoint such members as he deems fit and to come up with an agenda and a date.
If I could ask you to hold your motion for a minute, because I would like to follow on down the line and get the response from the members that haven't had an opportunity to say whether or not they would be in favor of a retreat or not, and what they would expect to accomplish. So
I believe there's a motion on the floor.
there's no second. So, and we already had an item going on before that. I'm not pushing the motion back. I just want to hear comments from. I think everybody would want to hear the comments from Ms. Love and you made your comments, and then I'll make my comments. So if Nancy will make her comments, and then I'll make mine, then we'll circle back to you, Ms. Mangum.
Okay, and just as point of procedure, just because there's a motion on the floor doesn't mean that there won't be discussion on that motion if there is a second.
Well,
just according to Robert's Rules of Order, I have made a motion. You need to ask if there's a second. If there's no second, then it dies. If there is a second, then there can be discussion on the motion before the vote.
Ms. Mangum, would you respectfully allow us to hear from Ms. Nancy Love before we do that? Because I understand your good intentions and I appreciate it, but
well, it's 7:49, and at 8 o'clock, when the meeting's supposed to be over, I'm going to be checking out. That's all I'm trying to do is move this along.
And that's all everybody's trying to do is move it along. So Ms. Love, will you make your thoughts, give us your thoughts and comments?
Well, I don't want to close off the opportunity for a retreat. I'm just unclear what we would accomplish by having a retreat. And we've had such scheduling conflicts that I worry about trying to schedule it at a time everyone could come. So, I'm open, but I don't understand what we could accomplish.
Okay, and I'll make my comments, and then we'll circle back to you, Ms. Mangum. My comments are I like the motion that or the suggested motion that you're proposing, Ms. Mangum. But I would, if that go in place, I would like to hear, to receive Mr. Mangum's report as to what the goals would be and how all this would play out. And then I will reserve my thoughts as to whether or not we should have the meeting once I see the straw man as to what this retreat will look like. So those are my comments. Now back to you, Ms. Mangum.
You gonna put your motion back on, Ms. Mangum?
Well,
I'll second it.
I'll withdraw my motion.
okay.
All right.
All right. So I don't know where we are now.
Nowhere,
Okay.
as usual.
I would like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to move that we have a retreat headed by Attorney Mangum, provided I can get a second.
One.
I got a sec. I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we have a retreat chaired by Mr. Randall Mangum. All in favor?
Unreadiness.
Okay.
With the friendly amendment that someone like the lady who says she's not sure about it, Miss Love,
Yes,
would you consider exploring the benefits of such a committee?
sure. I'm willing to be open to the possibilities.
Serving on such a committee is what I mean.
Yes, I would.
All right. Thank you.
So the maker of the motion, do you accept that amendment?
I didn't hear the.
No, that's on Ms. Bussey.
Yes,
Dr. Bussey, do you accept that amendment?
that's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, are you ready for the question? All in favor of the motion to have the retreat and have Mr. Mangum and Ms. Love work out the details? All in favor of the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Did anybody oppose?
Yes.
Oh,
I think you need to take an individual vote.
All right, okay, we'll go to Ms. Hardy.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Wardlaw,
No.
McDowell,
no.
Ms. Love,
No.
Dr. Bussey.
Yes,
And I abstain.
You abstain?
Yes, Ms. Mangum
Yes.
and Mr. Mangum.
Yes. So
Okay.
Ms. Love, you are involuntarily serving on the committee. Is that what we have? I'm gonna laugh at you, Ms. Love. I'm gonna kiss you. One of the two. Which one?
I don't understand the reason for it. That's
Okay.
Oh
what
my
I'm saying
God.
initially.
Well, let's get offline and come up with the reasons. And if we can't come up with something, we'll kill it.
I believe the motion carried.
The motion carries. There was four yes, 3 no's, and 1 abstention. So we move on. All right, the next item on the agenda is the SPLOST Oversight Group 2021 Annual Report. I believe early on, everybody was emailed a copy of Mr. Kingsbury's, the portion of the report that he prepares. And Ms. Wardroff had drafted up a portion that was proposed to come from our group. And you were asked to look at those. And for those new members, what generally happens in the past annual reports, the bulk of the statistical data and the financial information, all that is generally submitted by Mr. Kingsbury. And then we have the oversight group will add whatever comments, thoughts, or recommendations, or whatever that we have to the report, and that's merged together to complete the report. So, so that's where we are at this point. You know, so
Mr. Chairman,
What?
But
yes,
I have,
yes.
I just would like to make a quick comment. I drafted this up simply to give us something to work off of. I have no particular license to this one way or the other. If it has any merit at all, you're welcome to use it. If it doesn't make sense or you have questions, I'll try to answer it. But what we have done in the past is, as the chairman has mentioned, we tend to put together what I would call a cover letter and outline a little bit of what took place with our committee during the previous year, and then submit that with Chris's annual report. So as required by the resolution that created our committee, this was simply an attempt to do that. So I would be happy to entertain any comments or questions, and please feel free to edit or add or put it in the trash.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dr. Buster.
I didn't agree with the recommendation because I think I saw it as an excuse for our inaction. So annual report for the oversight committee has to be objective, and it should not be a rubber stamp document just by our project manager who manages the money and the movement. We have to begin to get on the right course of what an oversight committee is supposed to do. And that's one of the reasons we need a retreat, so we can get a better understanding. And at this point in time, I don't think we need to just put a document in place that seemingly try to cover actions that we didn't take.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Ms. Mangum has her hand raised.
Yes, Ms. Mangum.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay. With all due respect to Ms. Waldorf, I don't know who empowered her, but I do believe that as a committee, we should have either a subcommittee or some small group come up with the format and the content of this report and not have it done by one person for comment. And I also think it should be representative geographically. And quite frankly, I'm going to deal with the elephant in the room. Every vote, every comment, everything is based on race and geographic lines. The South Side has a lot more at stake because our unincorporated area is huge. And I don't feel that our citizens are being properly represented. And so we need to start to act as a group and not be handed a set of bylaws or a report or something to comment on. It needs to be an effort by the committee.
Any other thoughts?
I resent the comment that Ms. Magnum made regarding the racial aspects of what's going on here.
Look at the vote.
You can say what you want to, but you kind of sound like my 3-year-old granddaughter. So here's the deal. I don't think you should be throwing around terms like that in this forum. Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you, but if you look at the votes have been tied, and they have really been along north side, south side, and racial lines. It's just a fact. So if that's what your 3-year-old sees, your 3-year-old sees the fact. And we're trying to get past that. I will again suggest that as for the report needs to be done by a committee and not by one person and presented to the group. And that's my point.
Well,
you can disagree with it if you like.
Well, when Ms. Waldorf stepped forward and did that, she, as I understand, she sent it out to everybody with not saying this is the way it's going to be. She sent it out to everybody really to add your comments, tear it apart, put it back together, or whatever. That was really an opportunity for everybody on the group to give some input to it. If you disagree with it, say it. If you had some other thoughts, present it. But none of that happened.
I'm saying it now. I have a problem with the process, not just the report.
Okay, so what do you suggest?
What she just said.
Dr. Bussey.
Suggested it. I suggested we committee of more than one person to come up with the format, the content, and how the report should be presented. That was my suggestion.
So will you take the lead in participating to begin to work with Ms. Waldorf or anybody else to put something together to present it to everybody else?
So moved.
You got to make the motion first.
What is the motion?
It wasn't a motion. There was no motion. He made a motion.
The motion that you and Gail Waldorf come up with, because I'm not real clear about the intent of it, but I'm sure you all will work it out. Start it, because I think I want to commend Ms. Waldorf for taking an initiative. I'm not real clear about our intentions, but anytime anybody takes their time to do something, I applaud it. But I'm simply saying that I do move that you be a part of that with Ms. Waldorf. If you want to start it and somebody else want to be on that committee, great.
Yeah, not only that, anybody, I agree, anybody else that would like to participate in that, you're perfectly welcome to do it. We welcome all ideas and thoughts and suggestions.
Well, I second the motion.
So are you I want to be clear on the motion.
A, B, C.
The committee is me and Ms. Waldorf. Am I chairing the committee? Is Ms. Waldorf chairing the committee and seeking other members, or is it just me and Ms. Waldorf? I don't know what the motion is.
It sounded like it was you and Ms. Waldorf to at least come up with what you were.
Why don't y'all co-chair it?
But
Work together. Ball belongs to both of you guys.
I have put forth just a draft of something to work off of, not, as I said, for it to be any kind of a final idea. We are behind in filing the annual report. So in the interest of moving things along, I put this forth. So what I did are my thoughts, and I am more than happy for people to put together comments on this, or as I said, tear it up, put something else forth, and I'll be happy to look whatever other people think would be a preferable document. So I feel like I've done my part, And I'm open to looking at whatever anyone else comes up with.
Would you be willing to work with Miss Gina to talk about the issues?
I just feel like my thoughts are put on paper and I've sent it out to everybody 2 weeks in advance of our meeting. And no
It's
one,
the process. It's the process we're dealing with.
that's right. And I have been part of a process simply to get it started. And I'm open to anything else that anybody else has to add or to submit, and please do so. And we can look at it at the next meeting.
That's not the process I was referring to.
Okay. Well, it's 8:06. What's your pleasure, Mr. Chair?
Well, I want to hear Dr. Buss's comments as to what she had in mind.
I had in mind that we have a committee, oversight committee, that's not functioning in a unified method with processes. And what I heard Gina recommend is a process be put in place that's inclusive of everybody, not reacting to any one person's opinion, but the process of leadership that you appoint, and that we move forward and let them develop and pull together the annual report.
So is that your motion? You support that motion, Mr. Mangum? Is that what you had in mind?
That is the essence of it, and I would really respectfully request the Honorable Waldorf to, because she has such a wealth of background and she thought it not robbery to put something on paper, that she would at least consider being a part of that process so that there can be some deliberation. But I do understand if you don't feel that would be useful or profitable, but I would respectfully ask you, Ms. Waldorf, to consider it.
Ms. Waldorf, do you have any thoughts around, and we'll recognize you in a second, Ms. Hardy.
If I'm asked to be on a committee, you know, of course, I will participate. But I've already expressed my thoughts, and so if there are others on the committee, I'll be happy to take a deeper dive with what I put on paper.
Okay. All right, Ms. Hardy.
Yep. We actually had another motion on the floor, and then Ms. Buss's motion. We just need to ask for a second to support hers.
Now, what was Ms. Buss's motion?
Ms. Buss's was about the getting together and getting the process together.
With one caveat, Mr. Chair, I am not going to chair the committee.
Right. And that was not, and I think that was what Mr. Mangum was adding, Ms. Gale. So if we could just vote on Dr. Buss's motion, we can go forth with it, and then we can figure out how we do it.
I'd like to hear Dr. Buss's motion. I want to see if it's similar to Mr. Mangum's or it's something strikingly different. So, Dr. Buss, could you repeat your proposed motion?
I was just adding to what had been put in place as far as what Gina was deliberating and considering doing as leading the effort to have a subcommittee. So I was proposing that we create the process through a subcommittee structure of our oversight committee to put the process in place and bring a team together to pull the annual report together to present to the whole group.
Now, it was, maybe I'm wrong, but it was my understanding that the proposed subcommittee would be Ms. Mangum and Ms. Waldorf, and they would collaborate and come up with something and present it to the rest of the group. That was my understanding of what was.
Chairman,
Yes.
Ms. Bussey's, her motion was that, but then you're asking Mr. Mangum to add to it. Ms. Wadoff already, let me just finish.
Go ahead.
Ms. Wadoff doesn't want to do that. So the motion that Dr. Bussey put on, we can just have a second to that and move on it and vote on it. And we're done.
No, we're not. Who would be this committee that that Dr. Bussey's talking about?
The proper
Ms. Gina.
procedure is to appoint a committee chair. The chair pulls together a committee, and then the committee meets outside of this group. That's typically how it's done
That's what I suggest.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. Is there a second to Dr. Bussey's motion?
I second that.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second that a committee, help me understand, make sure I'm stating it correctly, that a committee be put together to work on the portion of this report that would be representative or submitted on behalf of the SPLOST Oversight Group. All right, repeat the motion again then.
It was about the process, not the actual report.
right.
All right.
Sorry.
All in favor of said motion, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, hear none. Any abstentions? Hear none. It's been moved in properly second, and that we establish this process. So there you have it. So I guess we move on.
You need to appoint a committee chair.
Mr. Chairman? yeah,
Yes.
Would you consider the said names as the appointments with the understanding that one of the parties said that she just doesn't want to chair it?
Yes, if not only those two individuals, if anybody else is willing to serve on that group, and Ms. Mangum, I assume, would you be interested in chairing the subcommittee?
Yes, but this is for the process, not for but we can, in that. To establish a process.
Well, that's what we
Putting
voted on.
together the annual report, yes,
We voted on the process, so I'm asking you if you would be willing to chair that.
yes.
Okay, all right, and Ms. Waldorf said that she would be willing to serve. We have a chair and we have one member, so if anybody else is interested, if you reach out to them and try to recruit some additional members, or see if they're interested, as chair of this subcommittee, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're down to you had a comment, Ms. Hardy?
Oh, no, I'm good.
We're down to the portion of the agenda where we would entertain public comments. Are there any members of the public participating in this call, John?
Mr. Chairman, there are no members from the public at this time.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move down to the next item on the agenda, which is comments from the SPLOST group, and we'll just go around the table again. Mr. Mangum, do you have any comments?
At this time, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Miss Mangum, do you have any comments?
Only to say that I'm not sure where we are on the retreat, but it is obvious that we are not together as a cohesive group. I'm disappointed in the personal attacks. I think what we need to focus on is how we do things and put some processes in place so that we do not have this constant discussion about how things are going to be done. So I would just make that suggestion. I also think it's important that we look at this whole election process, because we continue to have a tie, and the bylaws clearly state that the officers serve for 1 year. It does not say what happens if no one else is elected. We're just assuming that the current officers stay in place, and I'm not sure that that's productive.
Dr. Bussey, do you have any comments?
I do. I want to thank our new leader, managing director, for accommodating me and getting flyers that I had asked for on Splash for a meeting, community meeting that I set up in the community. And I will have a follow-up to that meeting on Saturday, where we will have many, many people from the area to convene in the park. And we will have a report out from DeKalb County Parks and Recreation on what they're doing in the area and what they're planning for the community that supported and fought hard to develop this referendum for Splash. I feel that we have not served our residents, our citizens, with the outreach, with the continuation of getting input and making sure we are visible. We are not in a position or appointed just to come to a meeting and talk. And without going back to the community to report out and make sure we are included in updating the citizens. That is will depend upon our having another Splash. I feel we're detached from the citizens, and we need to do something about that. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Love.
I'm fine, no report.
Mr. McDowell.
Thank you. I have no comments.
Ms. Waldorf.
Thank you. I don't have a comment.
And Ms. Hardy.
Yes, I have a comment. I would like to thank everyone for being a part of this. Thanks, Ms. Sharon, for coming in and keeping us aligned. I have no words about what we're going to do, but I am looking forward to a better synergy. So with that, I'm also inviting all of you to my party. So happy birthday to me, and you guys have a good evening. I have to bring some laughter to all of this. It's too serious.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
All right, I don't have any, I feel that I've talked enough. I don't have any additional comments. So with that in mind, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all in favor of adjourning, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed?
Eyes have it.
Good night, everybody. And again, happy birthday, Teresa.